All right. Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Latrice, and I am the Executive Director and founder of TILA Studios. Tonight, you have the wonderful opportunity to not only hear from Garden Fellows, but we'll also take a deep dive into what the Garden Fellowship is, what the dates that we have outlined for the next year and a half, what your experience is going to be, who is actually reviewing and judging your applications, because it's not me. We have 3 incredible jurors that we've invited that have taken up the challenge to see who is going to be the next 5 Garden Fellows. And then we'll allow for you all to have a Q&A. So we want you to drop questions in the chat. Let us know where you're from. You can even drop in your website. And we really want to just build community tonight and just have a good time. This is very low maintenance, nothing too strenuous. It should be like a really easy, fun night where you're just learning and seeing if this opportunity is the right fit for you. So before we get started and before I introduce our 2 incredible guests, because we only have them for 30 minutes, I want to actually go into the agenda. So we'll give a welcome and overview of TILA. If you don't know TILA, I'll just give a brief little high-level overview. I'll introduce Miriam and Adana. We'll do a live interview with them. I'll ask them a series of questions of like, why did they apply and what did they learn? I'll overview key program dates for 2023 and 2024. We do have those solidified. Now, if you are selected, the 5 fellows can change and adjust those dates based on travel, availability, etc. I'll also share some application tips and tricks and making sure that you have your application checklist, like get it done, make sure it's solid, review, submit. I'll also go over the rubric. I know you're probably wondering how you'll be scored and what we're actually looking for. So I'll also share that as well. Sorry, I'm admitting more people. And then I'll go over any generally frequently asked questions. I'll introduce you to the jury panel, and then you'll be able to share more about what you have questions about. So my first thing before we get started into all the business is drop in, and you can speak as well if you want to. Just raise your hand. What was the age that you first learned that you wanted to be an artist? And Adana and Miriam, you can go first if you want to.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Adana. I was trying to think when I first started watching like Bob Ross and stuff. So maybe like 6 or 7.
That's amazing. I think for me, it was kindergarten. I did this drawing of my dad raking the leaves in our front yard, and it won an award. And I got this bake bond that I still have to this day. That was, I don't know, like it was like $10 or $25. But I was just like, oh, I'm so cool. I'm an artist now. So I think that was when I learned. Anybody else want to share their age?
I realized that I wanted to be an artist maybe at age 5 or 6. My mom is an architect, and she would come home with her work. She made it seem so effortless and beautiful. She's Tanzanian and would drink like really hot tea during her breaks in like Nigerian summer heat. And she would call my twin brother and I like, hey, come here. Let me sketch you while I'm taking my break. And I was like, I want to do what she's doing. She's really cool. And that was, I think, where my interest started budding for the arts.
I see 18 in here, 16, 13 years old, elementary, when her oldest sister taught her stick figures, 36. So, you can learn that you want to be an artist at any point in your life. 6, trying to sell your art in the neighborhood, early middle school, around 11 years old. This is so beautiful. So happy that you all shared that. Continue to drop where you're from, artist website, your Instagram handles. Totally want to be like following y'all after. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we did the icebreaker. On to the next thing. So about TILA. So as you know, TILA is trying to solve one of the most glaring statistics in the art industry. Only 4% of art across museums and galleries are from Black women artists. So we call ourselves a visual arts incubator. We are headquartered in Georgia. We currently don't have a studio. We are a part of a larger renovation plan with the Goat Farm Art Studio. So we'll open our HQ in 2024. Well, we'll actually have studios for the Garden Fellows, working studios for artists, and a gallery to present new and exciting works around local and national artists, because we'll be right in the hub of the Mocha GA, entertainment and restaurants and hotels. So we're really excited for the foot traffic that we'll have next year. So thank you for bearing with us while we have been online, MIA, and through all the seasons that we've evolved as an organization. Currently, we're really focused on our agency, and that is where we work with brands like Sweet Green. This photos from one of our Sweet Green store openings in Atlanta. We are scaling to national projects. So if you are interested in our agency, we invite you to submit your portfolio. We are always looking for exciting new and emerging artists to pipeline into paid career opportunities. And then this year, we're relaunching our fellowship. So we're excited to open our fellowship back up and welcome 5 incredible fellows for a 15-month professional development and career acceleration program. Our goal at the end of the day is to get y'all paid. And so we really try to advocate on the forefront to make sure that contracts look good, invoices look right, payments look good, and making sure you all are respected as an artist first and foremost. It's one of my passion projects because I know all of us want to be full-time artists if we can. A little bit about me. I am an artist, so I am the problem that I'm trying to solve. I grew up in a household of makers. If you could put yourself on mute, that would be great. Makers, my grandfather is an artist. My mom makes clothes. And so it's just been a real passion of mine to always pursue art. I left my career in media at NBC Universal to start TILA in 2014. It was a risk. My family was not happy, but they're really proud now. So I know being an artist is a form of resistance, rebellion, and just like understanding your self-worth. And I know that can be so hard when so many people are like, that's an unstable career path. But I'm here to tell you that you can do it. I know so many people on this call are now full-time artists from when I met them 3 years ago. And it just warms my heart to see people just take a bet on themselves. So I hope during this call, you move forward and take a bet on you, because you deserve that. And you also deserve to win. So let's get in the good stuff. Adana Tillman. If you don't know Adana, you need to know Adana. You should follow her on Instagram, and I'll let her give you her socials. She is a fiber and textile artist, still admitting people. She recently just got back from San Francisco, showcasing amongst so many luminaries, which I'm like, I don't even know what that experience would be like to exhibit with Lava Thomas. She was a 2019 Garden Fellow. She got back from Berlin. If you can mute yourselves, that would be great, y'all. Someone's unmuted and I can hear them. She just got back from Berlin, I think last fall, doing the BAA art journey. She is a TCP fellow, which is a residency here in Atlanta. Her career has just taken off. She has been showcased all over the US and probably going even more internationally. So I'm super excited to see her in just 4 years, like transform and just be a force to reckon with. So please join me in welcoming Miss Adana Tillman. So she'll give you some insight. And then our next one is Miss MoMA. So Miss MoMA has incredible international collector. She is a collage artist. She's Tanzanian, Nigerian born. She has a degree in architecture, which is wild to me. So that's why she's like such a master of her knife. So you can't even tell that some of her work is collage. It almost looked like it's painted on or just like melted on, because she uses like archival flowers, archival paper. So it's a really beautiful light element that she adds to her work. Her work is always sold out. She is the queen of the red dot gang. She will always sell out of all her work. She's also been featured on Blackish. And she was a part of one of our first residency programs that we did. It was called the Migration Residency, where I really feel like she even came into her own and like pioneered her voice. And then she got accepted into the 2019 fellowship, where she actually did a record number of sales in Miami Basel. So I'm happy to know her as a friend, a confidant, and just seeing them two blossom makes me so happy. So please join me in welcoming Miriam and Adana. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to spotlight them. It's so nice to not see, like I can see all your faces. Y'all look so beautiful. Hold on, let me spotlight. I'm allowed to multi-pin. Okay, I did it. Woo! That was really hard. Okay, anything else you want to add to your bio, Miriam or Adana, before we get into it? Or just give some greetings.
I'll say hello, everyone. That greeting was the best. I want to copy it and use it for another time. But you kind of summed it up all for me. It's just been pretty busy. But thank you guys for coming and joining. And I hope we answer some questions for you guys or give you guys some more insight onto the program.
Hi, everyone. This is Mariam. I'm really excited to be here and just share more about my experience and answer any questions that you have. So thank you for joining. This is a really, really exciting fellowship. So, when you get accepted, just get ready to dive into it and win. So I'm excited to meet you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's ask the first question. Why did you apply for the fellowship in the first place? What made you take that leap and say, hey, I'm going to take a bet on TILA. I'm going to take a bet on myself and apply? What made you apply?
Donna, you want to go first or should I?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So I think the three primary reasons at that time why I applied, I really wanted to challenge myself and my practice. I knew that being in a 1-year commitment with an organization like TILA would really push me outside of my comfort zone to create and to really find my voice as a collage artist. That was one reason. I wanted to expand my practice. I definitely used it as a huge opportunity to build my network in terms of meeting gallerists, curators. I knew that at the time, I definitely wanted to build my brand as a collage artist. I was definitely like at ground zero of emerging artist tier, if you want to call it that. And figured that would be a great opportunity. And another very important reason to me is I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to be around other artists. I wanted to learn about their mediums. I wanted to network and meet people and really come out of myself outside of this like bubble in Atlanta, if you will. And it was very enticing to me to also have constructive criticism from the TILA team. So those were like kind of the primary reasons why I applied.
I did not realize, but now I know. I also was a very ground floor of taking my art practice seriously. So I was at the emerging of the emerging. At that time, I think I had just did like a table set up in the parking lot of a church where I was selling my pieces. And so a friend of mine actually brought up TILA to me. She said, I saw this. I think this would be really great for you. And I started reading through, all what they proposed to do. And I actually had applied, and I didn't make it the first year I applied. And then I applied again, and really kind of worked on my portfolio because it was bare minimum, you guys. And really kind of worked on presenting myself as an artist. And the second time around, I had got in. I was so excited. I was actually at a Jadena concert when I got the email. So, and I was hopping up and down already. So I was really excited, but it was really a chance to learn because I'm a self-taught artist. I don't have a BFA. So it was really a great time to learn on your artist statement and your bio and kind of looking at how the other artists wrote their statements and getting that critique and kind of packaging yourself and presenting yourself as a visual artist and a professional to, galleries and curators and saying, this is my craft and presenting myself to the world. So it was a wonderful experience.
That's beautiful. I didn't know you applied the first time. That's terrible.
Yeah, girl.
But
hey, they said to, my mom was like, Adana, just try again next year. You get your things together and just try again. I said, that's okay. Everything doesn't come around the first time, but that second time I was in there.
Oh, that's awesome. What was one thing that you didn't expect to learn that has really helped guide you through the next step of your career? Like, you're like, man, I went in there with this intention, but I came out here and it helped me get here. Because I always think I love those aha moments, because the fellowship is a lot. It's very demanding. You'll end up hating me and so many people in the process, and that's okay. I'm used to it. But it's so beautiful when you hit, like, you come out on the mountaintop, right, out of it, and you're like, oh shit, this is what that meant. What was that moment for you in the program or after the program?
I'll go first this time. First, me and Tiffany, we're together for the rest of our lives now. Could never hate that woman. Love her to death and all that she's taught me and opened my eyes to. I think the fellowship kind of opened my eyes to the business of the art world. And I came into it very naive, negotiating contracts, your rate, and getting what you deserve. That opened my eyes wide to what to expect and pricing. And Tiffany will tell you, she called me on the phone one day and said, Adana, I saw your piece and it was at this price. And I was just trying to make sure that is incorrect and we need to work on that. But yes, just the whole business of it and making sure that you're pricing your work and getting what you deserve from these gallerists, curators, and collectors, and just making sure that you're putting yourself first and your practice first.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'll never forget that text message exchange where something that I love to do is math, oddly enough. And we were calculating, the cost of her work, and, yesterday's price is not today's price. And to see where you are and the price point, I just think really shows the world your value. And that's why you're able to exhibit with Derek Adams and Lava Thomas and all these people, because you value yourself and you see the value that you're giving to the world. And you're like, no, I deserve to be on that wall just with my fellow contemporaries. So I think I feel like that was like a light bulb for you, and you have not stepped back from that moment.
Oh,
like,
no,
price
never.
To go up. Like, it's so dope to me. I'm like, yes.
They was like, well, last year. I said, well, that was last year, ma'am. And
I know. Amazing. Okay. What about you, Miriam?
I think for me, one of the most important learning moments was like the legalese of just the art business and contracts, negotiation, but more so like even being prepared to have those pieces in place in terms of like booking more larger commercial work or dealing with large publications. I think that was definitely a founding moment for me, even in preparation of Double XL cover. There's so many things I think that have come into my space where I felt way more versed, right? Because of the fellowship. Like I knew how to handle certain things. I had resources in place like Sumitra, the lawyer, and having had a chance to ask certain questions from a legal perspective. I work with collage, I work with paper. A lot of the times I get questions like, oh, what is the licensing like for the images that you use? Me, deciding to use a subscription platform for some of the work that I've done, I've decided, oh, you know what? I'm going to creatively direct this photo shoot because she's my muse and I want to use her in certain pieces. So from a legalese perspective, I learned so much during the residency. I would definitely say that, in the fellowship.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I definitely can see that, because if you know Miriam, she is the contract queen. She has done numerous covers for magazines, double XL, triple X, triple or double XL? So many, which is awesome. And I love seeing them there's different ways you can get to the bag. And I think that's one of the things that we try throughout the program. It's like, are you gallery, or do you want to be contractual, contemporary? Or what is the avenue that's best for your work? One of their fellows, to be quite honest, she didn't do well at Prism. She is a sculptural conceptual artist. And in my mind, she's dope, but her work is more public art. And so we had a moment, I just remember on the sideline, she's like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Like, my work is not meant to be on walls. It's meant to be in the public eye. And after that happened, she got 2 big public art contracts. We pipelined her into the right organization that was going to help her do that part. And everything may not be for you, but like, we hope that this is a launching pad for you to discover where your voice and your art fits. So that's really exciting too. Those even when those almost, we do quote on failures, turn into victories later down the line. What's also really dope, I feel like, about the program is that it's not really about TILA, it's about the cohort itself. And so we have this phrase that TILA will go with you, and watering your garden. So you're not just one artist charting their own path. You're a part of a collective, of a community, and you're 4 other artists that you're going on this journey with. And so I want to talk a little bit about, because I feel like they have their own relationships with each other that I'm not privy to, which is what I love. So how close are you with your other fellows, and like, how has your relationships evolved since the program, and like, what is it like today? I heard y'all talking about game night, so I thought that was
Absolutely. I'll go first. So I have an incredible relationship with Adana. We're really, really great friends. Actually, last year I was pregnant, and she and my husband went with me on an art residency. She got a chance to do her art, but she was really there to support me and make sure like I was okay, and really be a help to Kevin, which was so special to me. And for her to give of herself and give of her time like that was incredible. Just such a beautiful thing. From a that's a personal perspective. From a business perspective, we have become accountability partners, and we share opportunities. We've built a network where we can, say, I saw this opportunity, may not be a great fit for me, but I definitely think you should apply. Maybe it's just in fiber arts, or maybe it's for visual arts, and we both apply. So we have that kind of working business relationship. We talk about contracts. We have questions that we ask each other about legal stuff or applications. We actually went to Miami together for Art Basel, which was a great time, networking and meeting other galleries, curators, building our brand, building our practice, expanding our practice yet again. So that was really great. Another fellow that I'm close to is Chloe Alexander. From that relationship, I have gotten opportunities that are paid as well, which is really amazing. I assisted on some of her murals where I did also get paid for those. And for me as a collage artist, I definitely welcome more and more opportunities to learn and grow. And I'm a baby muralist, but from working with Chloe, I've done about 6 murals today. Some of them are for Home Depot and Dell Technologies, like really big organizations. And I'm like, I knew nothing about murals. And I would call Chloe and ask her 101 questions. And she was so gracious. And she gave of her time, her resources. She advised that she was definitely my consultant on some of the jobs that I've booked as a muralist. So in that way, I feel like has really helped me grow as an artist. Like my relationship have blossomed in a way that has really empowered me to flesh out as an artist.
Yes, I would say Miriam she's my sister. She is I'm closest with her of the cohort. I've gone over to her studio, the Glass Box, and we've had like a studio day where we're working on our perspective projects and kind of bouncing how does this look and kind of helping each other critique, which I think is really wonderful. Going to Miami together was really great because I can be kind of isolating. It's very overwhelming, and to kind of have someone to kind of lean on and help build your brand, and you guys know you're out there networking and talking and seeing the exhibits and meeting other gallerists and curators is really helpful, especially for an introvert for myself. So I thank her so much all the time for that. Another one, I like to, when I see opportunities, I'll pass them along. I've sent Alex a couple different things, and she's always super grateful. And, we're just really trying to uplift each other. She'll, even reposting our videos and our artwork, or sending messages about different pieces that we've put out there since doing the fellowship, and just really supporting each other has been really great. But yeah, so it was wonderful because I was kind of just working on my art in my own cave of my apartment, and to really kind of make that network and have those connections that you're not just by yourself, there's other people to reach out to, has been great.
I love that you hold each other accountable. Like, that's so exciting and beautiful to see. And I love that you went to Miami together. I wasn't even in Miami. They went to Miami on their own, did their thing, showed up, showed out. And it was just, I think Adana did a panel with BAA Art coming back from Berlin. Miriam exhibited, got invited back to Prism, did her work. So they were just like yin and yang, dancing in the streets of Miami, doing all the cool stuff. I was super jealous, but I think that's what I would want to see. Like, I don't have to be there. It's like they can take that initiative because they have each other to lean on. So I think your relationship is just a beautiful testament to what comes out of it. And I hope you continue to grow together as you all like chart new territory in your career. So the last thing is, what is one tip that you'll give to a future fellow applying for the Garden Fellowship for this year? And then we'll open it up to questions.
Oh, sorry. A tip for me, I say just go in open mind, open arms, absorb any information that's given to you. You might not think it's relevant at that date, but it's going to come around. There has been many times I was like, well, I'm not sure when I'll use this. I've used the information that I've received in workshops 3-4 times over, and just really, I just went in there, open minds, open heart, just accepting any information and all warm wishes, and any opportunity to work with the other artists, take it. Any opportunity to meet up with other artists and just fellowship. You never know what will come out of that. You find a new best friend, or you find someone where you can collaborate your medium with theirs, and you don't know what will blossom out of that. So I just say really just go in open-hearted and open-minded for anything and everything that can come your way.
So my advice, so in terms of the application, you definitely want to put forward a very synchronous presentation of your work. I think one of the things that was a learning moment or a growing pain for me when I started my practice was thinking, oh, they need to see all these different styles of how I can do collage. And I think it's really, really important to submit one story. That way you're not telling whoever is reviewing the work, I'm still trying to find my voice. So I'm not really sure what's cool. So I'm going to submit all these 5 different pieces. You might pick one, and there's always that one collection that you're like, oh my God, I killed it. This is the one. And that one that's in your gut, in your heart, the one you open your eyes dreaming about, and you're like, I did a great job. That's the one you should submit. You definitely want whatever is in your artist statement to be synchronous to the pieces that is telling a whole story. So don't put in a collection and say a completely different story in your artist statement that don't come together. So everything needs to be like streamlined and synchronous. Like, it needs to tell a story. Like, think about your work being your ambassador when you're not in the room to endorse yourself. You can't explain anything. It's behind closed doors. all decisions are going to be made before you see anyone else. Once you submit it, it's gone. So you want to make it as clear, as concise, as succinct as possible, and as synchronous as possible. So that would be like my number one application like tip. In terms of when you get into the program, I think Adana is like spot on with that. Take every opportunity to grow, to thrive, to connect with people. I think one of the things that I did, and I think to this day I'm still reaping benefits during the fellowship, I really like strategize. Like, I'm going to Miami with TILA Studios. This is my calendar with TILA Studios. These are all my free pockets of time. What does Mariam want to do, and where does she want to take her career? I remember sitting at a panel with Kende Wiley and Swiss Beats. I got into their VIP section. I asked questions. I connected with them. I remember meeting other artists that, between then and now, we've collaborated on projects. We have made money together. I remember being in rooms where I was like, okay, my goal today is to meet 3 to 5 people at the very least. Like, so I don't feel like I came for a party in Miami. I'm actually using my time very strategically. If I'm going to go here, and this is not on TILA's calendar, I've looked up the people, who's hosting it, why am I going? I need to be able to answer those hard questions for myself. And if I can't answer the questions, then maybe I should be saving my energy for what's on TILA's calendar on Tuesday morning. So I thought about all those things, and from a strategic perspective, absolutely paid off. And, here I am today. I'm really thankful for the opportunity. And while you do this, just take the opportunity to be your best self. Maybe that means updating your website. Maybe it means asking, the TILA team, hey, look at my artist statement, my bio, where can I get better? Like, do not be afraid for someone to tell you, this is not good enough. You need to go back to the drawing board. You need to be able to hear that and shake it off and go back to recreate yourself. So that's my advice.
Awesome. I know we're a little bit over the time, but we do have time for maybe like 3 questions to be asked. So I have one question here. Oh, Janelle. Oh, okay. I'm going to give the people who raised their hand time to speak. So Janelle Dunlap, if you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask that question.
Hey,
Okay,
thank
go
you.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. It was Miriam. Thank you so much for providing that feedback regarding your the portfolio. I guess my question is, because I've been making work for 6 years, and for a good bit of that period, this question is a combination of like, how do you present yourself? Because I have multiple practices. I have a conceptual practice, I have a studio practice, and I also have a curatorial practice. And I feel that all of those areas are kind of, do tell a story about my work. So in regards to the portfolio, because one of the reasons I decided to apply for this fellowship, because I have finally committed time to my own studio practice that's really been represented, or really I've been documenting for the past 3 years, versus I've been making work and as a working artist for 6 years. So I guess what would be your advice with someone who has maybe a more diverse background than just being a studio artist?
My advice would be to pick one that you want to focus on right now. Because, and it's, first of all, Janelle, it's great that you are multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary. That's really great. I think, again, that one thing in this season that you're in that rises to the top is really where you want to focus your energy. I will say, and Adana knows this about me, sometimes I try to work on multiple projects, and I feel like at the end of the day, I look at the work and I think it's almost ready, but it's not, because I wasn't fully devoted into one thing. And so I had to take a step back and say, give yourself fully here, finish this level of excellence that you want to see, and then use that as a platform to build on the other either mediums that you use, or the other stories you want to tell, or the other projects that you're working on. I think there will be one thing that rises to the top that you say this year, especially because it's a year, it's 12 months with the cohort. and the fellowship, you give yourself fully to one place for you to really understand, ask the hard questions and flesh out, and then you can start to expand secondarily into other mediums. So my advice would be to go with one thing.
I think that's really great. Thank you, Janelle. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think too, through the fellowship, if you're selected, I think that's something that knowing that you're multifaceted and you're not just one lane is something that we can talk about in career road mapping. One question that was in the chat, what does taking your career seriously mean to you, and how has that shifted your life and workload? I'm going to give that to Adana, because Adana did something really bold and took 6 weeks off of work to go to Berlin, told her job that, and was like, peace out. I'm doing this. I'm taking a bet. I'm an artist. Go ahead.
I was nervous asking that. Well, I wasn't nervous because it was either you was gonna let me do it or you get the resignation. It's either or. But it was, I put my art first. I do have a job, but to me, that is the side hustle. That's not the primary. My art practice is my primary. It's what drives me every day. So that's why I wanted to put the most energy and most work into. So yes, I went to my job. I said, I have this opportunity. Well, if you'll either let me take it, or I'm leaving on October 2nd, and that will be my last day. And thankfully they was like, oh, that's just wonderful. That sounds like an amazing opportunity. Just come back, And so I actually wasn't expecting them to say that, because it is a long time, but they just said, live your best life. We want to see great things from you. Just come back after 6 weeks, unless, halfway through you send us the email and say you love it here and you're not coming back. But it's just a priority for me. I set time every day after work to work on my art practice. That's mostly what I'm doing during the weekends, during the day. And it's just making that a priority in anything that I do. I just was in San Francisco, and I still worked from the hotel. So with the time difference, I had to get up at 5 a.m. to work. And then I'm out later in San Francisco trying to go to a luncheon or meet a gallerist or a curator. So it's really just, prioritizing and putting my artwork first and letting you know, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a way, find a way. And that's what it is about being serious, just putting it first, and nothing's going to get in the way of that.
Amazing. I'm going to take 2 more questions. So I'm going to do Aya and Maria next. So Aya Davis Kareem. Did I say your name right?
Yes.
Hey, girl.
How are you?
Good to see you.
You too. Yeah, so I had the pleasure and honor of meeting you all in 2019, and sitting with y'all at the dinner. And since then, I've, a lot has changed. And in the past 6 months or so, I've finally had the time that I didn't have, as a mom primarily, to really devote to my art practice now. And I feel like I'm ready for opportunities like this fellowship. What I find is that, I've been applying.
Doing at 4 years old, getting ready to turn 4 years old. What am I good? By cooperating.
Everyone, I'm sorry.
I've been applying to things and, getting a lot of rejections. And what I'm really looking for at this point in my practice is the feedback, is the critique, is the criticism. I studied architecture like Mariam, so I understand critique. So this is what I wanted to ask. This seems very competitive, and it seems like only 5 people will get selected. Is there going to be an opportunity for folks who may not make it this time to get feedback or get critique on what they can improve, just in case? And one more quick question for people who are not based in Atlanta. They have to attend in person?
Oh, both great questions. I think those questions are for me.
Okay.
So first, yes, we're actually going to open up our professional development workshops to artists and be virtual and in person. So we'll be able to attend those professional development workshops. We are going to open back up virtually our critique sessions. I think those were super helpful. So you can sign up. We'll be doing monthly critiques, probably starting in March, Women's History Month. And then lastly, depending on what the event is, we'll fly you down to Atlanta for the kickoff press event. You have to be there. You need to do the photo shoot. That helps with our marketing, press, and all of that. So the key dates, you'll have to be there. But for studio visits, you're not required to come to Atlanta. So those can all be done virtually over Zoom. They'll be recorded and shared with you. So all the notes that we talk about during your studio visit, we can get that to you. So if that helps. So it should be like 5 dates that you'll actually have to come to Atlanta. Most of the time you'll be working remotely. And then of course the 5 days in Miami, which are required.
Well, I have a son in Morehouse now, so I have the, built-in excuse to come.
And if anyone else has any other questions that they want to direct to Miriam or Adana, you can drop them in the chat or email me and I'll make sure they get over to them. And then I'll try to get a response as quickly as I can. But I'm going to take the last question so they can log off. Sorry, ladies, by 6:45. So it was Mariah. Sorry, Mariah. Hey, girl.
I was going to say, I know you know my name. Okay.
Sorry. I'm trying to do the technology thing. I still haven't got to Zoom yet after 3 years, but go ahead.
It is all good. And first off, you're doing so amazing. Like way back, way, we used to hang out at coffee shops randomly. And like, you're such an inspiration. You just don't know. So sorry, I'll get back to the topic. So 2 questions. First off, for you ladies, you made a couple comments about when you applied, like you were very much like kind of starting. And I think like I believe, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, but to your point, like it is a little intimidating coming into this. Like, could you maybe speak more like, I guess, I don't want to say literally where you were, but it's like, I would love to know, like, am I at the place where you guys were when you made that first? I know you said you were in a parking lot selling some of your stuff, and I've done a couple of craft markets, but if you can give any more kind of feedback to that. And then my other question is for you, Tiffany. I work primarily digital and like interactive and kind of like AR type stuff. So static images can be a little bit problematic. And is this a space for digital artists? Like, is that kind of like also a thing? Because it does seem like it's mostly kind of like gallery work. So those are my 2 questions.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a really good question. I think the work required to do the fellowship is going to be a little bit different this year. So I think we would like to see, like, if you are, because we do have a lot of clients, especially in our agency, they're looking for that type of work, right? Outside of the traditional model. So for us, it's like, how can you create concepts and bring these digital experiences in real life, right? So how can we do it really interactive installations where they can engage with your digital works and technology? That is the direction that we want to expand. So I think how you do or conceptualize visual art is really important to like, just how does that translate in real life? So as long as you have that, I think that is key. And that can be a part of your artist statement. It's like, these are how these are works experience beyond the computer screen. So if you can convey that, I think that is great.
Mariah, hi. So I'll answer your question. I think when I got admitted into the Garden Fellowship, I just come out of experimenting during an artist residency. I think that was like March. Tiffany, keep me straight here. And then that was like down the line, July or something. So already I was kind of like in the studio, really, really pushing myself. I think in those 6 to 8 weeks of the residency, I created about 60 pieces. Adana and I, we were saying like I did like a first gallery show in Atlanta at Zuccotti Gallery. There were several things that had come up, but I think the most interesting thing to me and what I learned was I just had to go.
Did she freeze for you? Did she freeze?
Yeah, she's frozen.
Yeah, she did.
She had to go.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
we can hear you now.
Oh, there she is.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why my I went out for a minute, but I didn't really have time to question. Like, so I think back to Adana saying be open-hearted to the process. That was very, very important for me to kind of find my feet and find my voice, right? So in terms of ground zero,
Come back.
do the work and look at it later. Did you get most of that?
Yeah, we got most of it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No problem.
And Nadria and Sidra, I will answer your questions as we go through the presentation. I want to be respectful of everyone's time and that we end right at the hour and a half. So just continue to drop your questions and I will respond. So thank you, Miriam and Adana, for your time. We went over, but I mean, this was the best part. Like everything else is just administrative. I think it's super beneficial for them to hear from you all, know of your work, and I hope you all connect with each of them that are on this call. And don't be afraid to DM them, y'all, and just like drop them their flowers and vice versa. I think the community is so much greater when y'all all know each other.
Thank you for having us. And I answer all DMs and emails. I really do.
They're probably the most responsive ones. So I would say definitely like ask them. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Miriam and Adana, you can drop. Thank you. Love you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
Bye. Good luck, everyone.
So quickly, I just want to go ahead and continue with the agenda and just let you know some of the key program dates. So on March 6th, we'll actually announce 2020 Garden Fellows. We'll start reviewing the application starting next week. So it takes about a month, 4 to 5 weeks to actually decide. The first fellows meeting will be April 15th. That's just where you'll get your notebooks, you'll get like all your program materials, contracts, all of that. May 15th, we are going to be doing our Garden Fellowship meeting in Miami Art Basel Prep. Typically, we don't onboard fellows until August. So y'all are way ahead of the game this year. You have all of summer to create works. We're only going to be requiring 2 to 3 new works created during the fellowship. So it's really we're really looking for craftsmanship, time and effort and storytelling in your pieces. Looking for quality over quantity. If you produce more work, that's great because collectors will be looking for you. But we're really going to be critiquing 3 and aiming for 3 perfect pieces. Around Juneteenth weekend, we want y'all to block that off. We'll have a Garden Fellowship photo shoot. That's when you'll come to Atlanta, do a photo shoot. We're actually partnering with one of our big agency partners, Sweet Green. They're co-hosting our Juneteenth kickoff experience and press preview. That's when all the notable collectors that we invite press to start interviewing you all, getting us ready for the sprint to Miami. July, September is just creating. So you're just going to be creating, doing studio visits, not only with me, but our fellowship coordinator. Our fellowship coordinator will be joining in March. That is like your ride or die. That's the person that's advocating for you, that's going to be really truthful and honest about where you are in the work that you're developing. October 14th, we'll have a professional development workshop. That's probably most likely going to be your CV, bio, artist statement, getting that super clean and crisp so it translates well while you're in Miami. Around October 16th, we'll be photographing the work because it goes on a digital catalog as well as uploaded to different sites for people to actually start pre-purchasing your work. By mid-November, you should ship your work to Miami. TILA typically will handle that, but if you're outside of Atlanta, of course, we have to coordinate with FedEx, get your work down there. And then December 5th to the 10th, it's literally no sleep and it's game time. We're literally up at like 7 a.m. each day. You're out in the streets of Miami till about 2 a.m. day over day. It's exhausting, but it's so much fun. We also have our own experiences that we produce. So we have the dinner that I was able to attend. Maybe going back to the Perez and doing another Empower Her brunch. So that's also a really great time. December 15th, we kind of just do a survey, see where your heart is. Are you over it? Are you into it? Let's get in the details. And then we go for a break. So you have 6 weeks to not talk to us until January 27th. Of course, you could email, but we'd like to give time for space and rest and reflection because Miami is a lot and a lot comes up from that experience. In mid or late February, we'll have our second professional development project. March 16th, we'll have our fourth Garden Fellowship meeting, and that's when we'll prep for our homecoming exhibition. And that's 3 months exhibition in Atlanta. And then while that exhibition is happening, we're going to be taking you all up to Georgia. We'll fly you all in for a retreat and celebration with our advisory council in the woods. You'll get to share your experience, what you learned, what you didn't like, and just celebrate yourselves for completing something so intensive and actually getting through together. So that's the program. And I had a question about if you're not ready, what happens, or if you're not ready to apply today. I would say the fellowship, because it is 15 months, is not going to reopen until the top of 2025. So we'll go through the fellows for this year up until Q2 of 2024, take a break, and then reopen those applications again at the end of 2024 to bring on our new fellows. Let me see if anything else. Okay. Application tips. Just like Miriam said, cohesive body of work is key. And if your bodies of work are smaller in quantity and every time, I'm fine with smaller. I mean, I think smaller works, they don't have to be large. I think we just want to make sure thematically you're saying the same thing throughout your work. So if you have one, 36 by 36, and then the rest of your works are works on paper that are 11 by 14, those can be intimate as well. I think Miriam's work started off really small. She started scaling to 24 by 24 and larger, but small works can be just as powerful. So I think as long as you're telling a cohesive story, it's strong. Because we're really going to be judging by the body of work and your artist statement and making sure that aligns with the work you're showing us, because that's how we know it can translate to the contemporary market and as well as to our collectors, right? They're going to need to be able to see your work, believe it, and want to support you. And that's really what you want to achieve. We also want to look at work that's completed within the last 3 years. Not mandatory, but highly encouraged, primarily because it shows a commitment to your practice and it shows that you've been working steadily year over year. And when there's a gap in your work, I can even tell like the change in your craftsmanship, right? Your paintbrush is a little different. Your brush strokes change. You evolve as an artist. So it also helps to really showcase, like, once you have that body of work, we know that you have at least a repository of artwork that can also be sold to collectors. Because I will say, while we brought 3 of Miriam's pieces to Miami, in our digital catalog, we had about 10 additional pieces that we featured of hers, and she sold out of that artwork. So it's really good to see that you have artwork that you can sell, even if it's not work that you made in the fellowship program. We're looking for high-res photos and not screenshots. So make sure that we can see your artwork up close. It's really nice if we can see the edges of the artwork. So if it has a white border where we can just really see it breathe. If it's not, it's fine. We can still see the craftsmanship, but it's just like an added extra touch. When you're writing about your artist statement or you're answering any of the 3 of the questions, stay away from generalizations. Like, we really want to make sure that you have SMART goals that are very specific, measurable, time-related, and realistic. Like, hey, I'm not, we're not saying you're going to do a solo exhibition at the Guggenheim, but maybe you want to be included in a notable gallery group exhibition and you want to submit and learn how to submit that, right? Like, what is an actionable thing that you can do that you don't know how to do, that you can potentially learn or get support in this fellowship? So I'm going to stop right there because I feel like I see a lot of questions, and you can unmute yourself too. Like, I can't read as fast as you can talk. I think, as a photographer, what would be most contemporary, documentary, editorial, abstract fashion? I think for photography, we've always looked at more documentary works. I feel like anything that's abstract fashion or editorial, that's a little bit more commercial. And we wouldn't actually see that in a gallery space. And we've sold more documentary style works than actual like fashion or editorial work. Specific question about screenshots. Oh,
I can unmute myself for this if you want, but essentially it's just like I can have a physical thing there, but for you to see the other piece of it, I would have to add a screenshot.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think that may be like an offline thing. I may actually think we need to chat one-on-one about what your portfolio submission may look like.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to set you up for failure and just like make something up. You can also maybe even upload a PDF. So instead of individual JPEGs, like tell the story through a narration of your 10 work examples and upload a PDF that shows your work.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into the rubric. So you want to know how you're gonna be judged. And then I'll go back to questions at the end. So our scorecard, we have 2 scorecards that we use. It's one is like, this is the first one that everyone's going to be judged by. So the first 3 is like, the first one is like, hey, did you fill out the application correctly? Like, come on, like you get 5 points just filling out the application correctly. So make sure you fill it out correctly. That's great. Professionalism, we're looking for really concise, like don't be super wordy. I think about the sky and the color, which makes me do this and this to this. No. Clear, concise, direct. Simple is better. Don't dance around it. Just tell us, right? So even if you say, I am an artist that likes to use the color blue because blue reflects peace, joy, and the need and welcomes intimacy. I do this through XYZ, etc. That's very clear, and we can understand, okay, we need to be looking for the color blue and making sure that's consistent throughout the 10 images that she submitted, right? And if we can put those things together and do we feel intimacy, space, and meditation, that, okay, she's on the right path. We also want to know your time commitment and availability. Like, are you going to be committed? Because we're invested in you. You got to invest in us. And we also just want to see a history of dedicated practice through your CV, bio, or artist statement. Have you committed to your practice? Do you have a statement that reflects your influences, philosophy? Do you have questions that you're even asking yourself? We want to know that. Like, we really want to see the richness of your research and where your work emerges from. And the big one, the last 2 is like, y'all work. Your work speaks for itself, like Miriam said and Adonis says. So I would say at least as 80% of your work really reflect what you're trying to achieve. Now, we know that every single piece is not going to be top tier, but at least if you're pushing yourself to that point, that's great. So I think if you like, I have 8 strong pieces, 2 is like, I would say, okay, she's getting there. She can get there. I would rather see 2 iffy pieces than 8 pieces and then 2 pieces that don't mean anything to the work that you're actually trying to achieve. And the need for space. So we are going to be actually working with our partner, the Goat Farm, and have satellite studios in Marietta Street for those artists in Atlanta. And then also working with the artists and finding subsidized studio space to actually do your works, because I always feel like removing your practice from your home is key to artistic growth. So during those months of July, it's like, do you need space and how are you going to use it? And like, do you have a project that you're going to complete? So that's what we're really looking for in your first round when we look at your application. The second part is that the top 10 artists will be notified, I think, the week of February 13th. And you'll go and be scored on your original application score. So we'll pull that score over. They'll also just review your work samples again and rank them, because now they'll see the whole top 10. It's like, okay, now are you ranking against your peers? And then your interview, you'll go on a 20 to 30-minute interview with the jurors that are doing it. And they're going to be asking you questions about how well you articulate, because we're going to need to know if we can put you in a room and you're going to be able to like stand on your own and talk about your work. How do you talk about your practice? And like, how do you talk about your interest into the Garden Fellowship? They're really chill. I'll tell you about the jurors. Like, they're not super intense, but they are avid collectors, avid investors in the art world. So their opinions matter because they have historically supported and championed and continue to collect Black art. So these are the people you want in your corner. They're going to be like, yeah, I know that fellow, and she's dope. So they're really, really, really cool people. Any questions about the scorecard? Sasha, me and you, if you want to, I'll have my contact information. If y'all want me to just pass through like the 10 works you're considering, like I'm happy to do an application review. Like, I'd rather for you to feel like you're prepared than like, oh my God. And this could just help you talk through some ideas as well. So we could talk about that if that helps.
Yeah.
Okay, yay. Yeah, I love talking to people. So I talk a lot, unfortunately. So the 2023 jurors are Stephanie Owens. She is the ED of the National Black Arts Festival. Great champion of the arts. They also run an artist project fund. She's super sweet. They typically sponsor some of our events through TILA. Just awesome person to know and be connected to. Kent Kelly is actually to be confirmed. He's reviewing his contract now, so we're hoping that he'll join us. I'm sure he will. He is a prominent collector. He has collected Amy Sherrill. His first piece that he collected that started evolving his collection was a Mariam MoMA piece at Prism. And now he's like the most prominent collector in Atlanta, travels all over, sits on so many boards and museums. So super dope person to know. He's also always gathering art advisors, art collectors, and museum curators here in the Metro Atlanta area. So he's somebody at least to put on your radar to network with as you're trying to put your artwork out there, because he loves emerging artists. Kimberly Fisher, she is our advisory council member. She is one of the oldest collectors, has probably over 50 or 60 works of Black art, from Deborah Roberts to Mariam to so many people in the community, Kevin Cole. She travels all over the world just to look at art and buy art. She started collecting art when she was in school at the AUC. Her and her husband met there, and now they have the Fisher collection. So anytime a notable artist, visual artist comes to Atlanta, they're usually hosted at the Fisher's house. So once you're a part of the Fisher network, they are going to support, champion, or pipeline you into really great opportunities. So these will be the people that you will be judged by. We'll also formally announce these people on Instagram once Kent confirms. If not Kent, it'll probably be another prominent collector from New York that will join the jury selection. But we always want to have people who have a keen eye and that know how to actually buy in this market now. I think that's important because they're pretty much saying, hey, I can share this artist with 10 of my people and make sure their work gets sold. So I can stop right there. Any Q&A, you can take yourself off mute.
If we did want to set aside some time with you to kind of go through what we've got, how would we do that? Like, how would we set that up with you?
Yes, sure. So just email me. Here's my email, Tiffany@TILAstudios.com. I do have time tomorrow, Thursday, Saturday, and when is the application due? Monday? Okay, yeah. I'm going to just send it everyone to the meeting.
Is there an option? I know for some Google Forms, there's an option to edit your form or edit what you.
Oh yeah, that was a good question. Yeah. So if you've already submitted your application, you want to go back and edit, I would just say submit a new application and we'll take your most recent application as the one we move forward to review. So if you're like, shit, I just attended this meeting and I want to, oh, I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to curse. I want to change my application or I want to use these images, then just submit a new one. And then Janelle email me and be like, hey, I have a new application. I want that to be considered and not the old one. An artist has already done that. And I thought that was really, really thoughtful to reach out. So I made sure I marked that. All right. Awesome. Anyone else?
I'm Chris. I'm the artist that sent you that. And I was going to write you and say like, hey, can I do it again? Because I want to resubmit a couple of pieces. I want to only submit pieces that are a part of one body of work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, okay, great.
Totally do that.
Okay.
I submit like 3 times. Anytime I submit to something, I was like, ooh, change, ooh.
Hey, so I have the question about like, so I know we're speaking about submitting one body of